We are coming off the back of a divisive WrestleMania and enthralling Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania. So it seemed appropriate that now is when I do a dethroning video for every champion in the WWE. If you're a fan of this content or content like this, I implore you to drop a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot and I hope that you'll enjoy the videos that I'm going to make in the future. Let's start with the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso just won the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther at WrestleMania, and from what it seems, Gunther's not going to be pursuing the title. He attacked Pat McAfee last week on Raw. I think Jey is going to win a few PLE matches to solidify himself as a world champion, and I think eventually Jey Uso will be losing the World Heavyweight Championship to Seth Rollins. Rollins is already in the process of building a new super faction, already recruiting Braun Breaker. I think Braun will be serving as the muscle for the group. A world title reign may be somewhere down the line for him. I think the title first ends up in the hands of the architect, Seth Rollins. Next is the Women's Intercontinental title. Now, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, was two-belt Lyra for a very brief time. By very brief, I mean 1 day. She was a double champion. She lost the women's tag titles back to Liv and Raquel, and I think it's important to note because this story is important to her reign as Intercontinental Champion. I think the story going into Backlash or maybe the PLE after is going to be Becky versus Lyra Valkyria. I think Lyra's done a great job with the title and I've enjoyed watching her reign. I do think that she's poised to drop the title to Becky Lynch. I think management in the WWE and the people who make these decisions will see that Becky holding this title is an easy way to elevate its importance on screen. And of course, Becky is capable of having great matches with everyone, so it makes sense. The Women's United States Championship, actually a bit harder to predict since the current champion is Zelina Vega, who started her reign 3 days ago. As of recording this, Zelina defeated Chelsea Green on SmackDown to start a reign, and I have no idea in the direction that they're going with the title. I like the idea of Piper going for it, but with the women's tag division being so bare, I can just imagine they're keeping Piper and Alba in that division. So instead, this one is a total stab in the dark, a complete guess. I'm going to say B-Fab. I'm not quite sure how they would position that feud or how they would get to the title match, but that's not the point of this video. I think all the other women are going to be tied up with their own feuds and their own titles. Naomi, Jade, Charlotte, Tiffany. So I think that it's going to have to be somebody else other than those big four that takes this title away from Zelina. For the men's Intercontinental title, whilst Dom is in the infancy of his title reign, the Intercontinental Championship scene is probably the most stacked out of the two rosters, two being Raw and SmackDown. It was a very difficult one to predict. The quote-unquote obvious choice is of course Finn Balor, assuming that the Judgment Day would be splitting up in some way. The issue with that is that there's been tension within the Judgment Day for as long as I can remember, or as long as I've been rewatching wrestling. It never seems to correlate to a full breakup. They always rectify it in some way. So whilst Finn taking the title would be fun, I just don't think that's the direction we're going. So that does leave you thinking, so what is your choice? Pentel Zero Miedo. I think the way they've presented Penta since his debut and the way that he performs in ring with almost everyone that he's been in the ring with, seems like a perfect choice to carry the secondary crown on Raw. The men's US title is another one where it's a bit of a sticky one to try and guess who's going to take it. The ball has just got rolling for Jacob Fatu in his title reign, and I think that when the time comes to part the two, it's going to take somebody big in order to keep Fatu looking strong. Similarly to Dom in the Intercontinental title, the easy prediction would be Solo Sikoa. They've been dropping hints that there's a bit of tension between Jacob and Solo, but I do think that the Solo match will be more to build Fatu as a champion. My prediction from who will take it from Jacob is going to be Drew McIntyre. I think they need an established name if they want to continue the hype train behind Fatu, and to be quite frank, Drew deserves respect for the work that he's done in the past year with the WWE. For the WWE tag team titles, of course, currently it's the Street Profits are top of their division, which can I just say the tag division on SmackDown has been the highlight of WWE television for some time now, at least for me. I love tag wrestling. The TLC match that was just on SmackDown last week, chef's kiss, but it has also solidified the idea that I think there is not a team that's close to topping Street Profits yet. I think Street Profits will hold these titles for a fairly long time yet. However, when it does come round, my prediction remains the same, whether it's next week or in 3 months. My prediction is that Fraxium will take the titles away from the Street Profits. Not just because the Profits versus Fraxium would be a great match, which it would be. I also think Fraxium deserve it. They propped the NXT tag division on their back, despite only being partners for a tournament. They continued and created a great legacy of matches on NXT. So I think if anyone deserves and should take the titles from the Profits, again, whether that's next week or at SummerSlam Survivor Series, I think it should be Fraxium. The men's world tag titles. WrestleMania 41 saw a lot of titles change hands, and one of them was the New Day winning the Raw World Tag titles. It's a difficult one because on Raw there is not a lot of babyface teams that I could see beating New Day. Like, it would take a good team to beat the New Day. The only options that are really there are the War Raiders, who just had a title reign, and the LWO. Like I said, with the War Raiders just coming off the back of a title reign, I think my prediction would probably be Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, the LWO, which, to be fair to the two of them, they put on great matches with the time that they get on TV. I think the New Day versus the LWO would be kind of hard for the titles. For the women's tag titles, Liv and Raquel are now four-time women's tag champions. I think the most of any team ever. And it's getting to the point where I can only ever imagine the women's tag titles on the shoulders of Lyra and Raquel. I think they're both doing a great job in keeping interest in the division, which, let's be honest, isn't the most active. I think my choice to dethrone the record-breaking tag champions would probably be the aforementioned Piper Niven and Alba Fire. I don't think that's necessarily a popular opinion, or I just don't think people that maybe not have that opinion. But the gimmick of the Secret Service and the work they're doing with Chelsea right now, I think it would be good to see them get their dues. The women's World Championship. Now, Io Sky, she's arguably the greatest in-ring worker in the WWE right now. In fact, I don't think that's arguable. I think Io is leaps and bounds above the majority of both men's and women's divisions. And it shows, because Io is winning the fans over at such a rapid rate. Like the pop when she defended her title at WrestleMania, perfect. But with this influx of fan support and, you know, this outstanding in-ring ability, it's hard for me to see her drop the title anytime soon. I've tried to avoid obvious choices on this list. I've tried to include Fraxium, Drew as US champion, but for me, I don't think there are as many people that I can see and believe that would beat Io Sky for the women's world title. I'm gonna have to go with Rhea Ripley. I think the story's always been set that Rhea will win that title back at some point. Io and Rhea are always putting on great matches, so maybe we'll stick a stipulation, put it on a PLE like SummerSlam, make it a big event. I think I could see that happen. For the women's WWE championship, it is actually still Tiffy time over on SmackDown. Tiffany has just come off the back of a win at WrestleMania 41 against Charlotte Flair. A match which people were actually divisive about in terms of the quality, but also their predictions and who they thought was going to win that match. Now, with that win, I feel like Tiffany is becoming more and more of a solid WWE champion. This is a memorable reign. Nobody is going to forget this reign. I suppose the one way they could tarnish this reign is by setting up Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton. But even though they are doing that, I don't think that ends with Nia being WWE champion again. I think a more likely and, quite frankly, better option for Tiffany to drop the title is Naomi. Naomi is thriving in a new character, even despite losing to Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. I think Naomi will become the next women's WWE champion. I think it's more likely to happen in a multi-person match just to protect Tiffany, maybe make someone else eat the pin. But I do think that it will lead to Naomi being the next champion. And finally, the most prestigious prize in wrestling, the most decorated title held by Bruno Sammartino, Roman Reigns, the never seen 17, John Cena, the undisputed WWE championship. John Cena just defeated Cody Rhodes in an underwhelming WrestleMania main event, topped by the interference of Travis Scott. Not even The Rock, Travis Scott. I think Cena will be poised to hold this title until the end of his WWE run. I think what they're going to do is kind of a run through of Cena's iconic matches. I think we're already getting Cena versus Orton at Backlash. I think we'll get Cena versus Punk hopefully at Money in the Bank just for the story. However, I don't think any of these reruns of Cena's greatest hits will be the one to dethrone John Cena's 17th world title reign. The man that will end up dethroning John Cena as in his record-breaking title reign will be Cody Rhodes. I think Cody becomes a two-time WWE champion, and I think doing so, he realizes that John got where he is as a record-breaking WWE champion by turning heel. I think Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel in John Cena's last match, maybe kick him in the nuts like Cena did to him. I think he's going to see that it worked for Cena. Cody's going to do it. I think Cody will end whatever Cena's last PLE is by turning heel on him and taking the undisputed WWE championship. Hopefully you guys agree with me. If you don't, there's a comment section down below. Please leave a comment. Who do you think the next batch of WWE champions is going to be? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess.